help the harvester get the pumpkin and pick it. So this is just like review, trying to kind of make sure we know that they changed the way the blocks are organized, because there's so many we can use now. They're going to be separated into categories. So let's go ahead and say repeat until there are pumpkins. Move forward. So we want her to walk forward until there's a pumpkin. And once there's a pumpkin, she should pick the pumpkin. That should work. And we're good. No functions in this, again, just kind of review, just make sure we know how to use the new, new area with blocks in it. Okay, next up on page 3, we do have a function to use. So, I get rid of the code I wrote, just so we can go through it one by one. So the function it gave us is check square for corn. Think of a function as like kind of a way to condense your code. So when you're writing your code, you can now put the function check square for corn, and that's going to be telling your harvester to do all of this. So it's basically like saving you space. Think about it like this. If I told you, like, hey, go put away your Chromebook, I'm not telling you, hey, stand up out of your chair, walk to the Chromebook cart, put your Chromebook in the cart, plug it in, walk back to your chair, sit back down. No, I'm just saying, like, hey, go put up your Chromebook. And you know that there's all those steps involved. And what we're doing is just telling the computer, like, hey, when I say check square for corn, I want you to do all these steps. That's basically what a function is. So now let's do this. We want to get to the pumpkin, so I'm going to go ahead and use the repeat until there are pumpkins block again, just because I want her to, look for corn until we get to the pumpkin. So what am I wanting her to do? Well, I want her to check for corn, because we're trying to pick all the corn. And then after she checks for corn, we want her to step forward, right? Because basically when we use this function, check for corn, she's saying, all right, if there's corn, I'm going to pick the corn. If not, I'm going to ignore it. So let's say check square for corn, then move forward. All right, and this isn't going to get us all the way done, because this is just going to have her check the square for corn and move forward all the way to the end when there's a pumpkin. So you can see we're picking all the corn, and we're ending up at the pumpkin, but we're not picking it yet. So we need to add one more block telling her, like, all right, it's time to pick the pumpkin. So let's see. All right, cool. So that worked well. And again, the whole point of that was just like, this is what a function is. So for a little bit more complicated, again, I'm going to get rid of the code that I already wrote so you can kind of see my thought process. Looks like we're still going to be using the check square for corn function. Cool, works for me. And we're going to want to basically do the same thing as we did on the last page. We're just going to have a couple other moves in here. So let's go ahead and do repeat until there's pumpkins. So we want her to first get to this pumpkin. Let's have her do the same thing we did before. Let's check if there's corn. Then if there is corn, she's going to pick it. And if there's not, let's tell her move forward. Okay? So check for corn, move forward until you see a pumpkin. And once she sees a pumpkin, what do we want her to do? Pick the pumpkin. So let's see where this gets us. All right, awesome. So we got everything in this first row. Now we need to move her up here so she can do the same thing. Looks like she's going to need to turn, right, because her path goes to the left. So let's tell her to turn left. It's going to have her facing the right way now. Just double check that. Great. And then she needs to take 1, 2 steps forward. So let's say move forward and move forward. All right, let's see where that gets us. Great. And now she's facing the wrong way again. So we need her to turn. That looks like it's going to be to the left. Let's say turn left. And then hopefully she should be facing the right way now. Yeah, awesome. And now we need her to just do her thing where she looks for corn and grabs pumpkins again. So I'm actually not gonna bother re-dragging all those blocks. I'm just gonna copy and paste, throw those on there. And we're missing one thing still, and I'll show you what that is. If we run it like this, she's gonna get all the way to the end, but she's not gonna pick the pumpkin at the end because I never added this pick pumpkin block. So copy and paste that down, and this should work. Got our pumpkins, got our corn, and we got the last pumpkin. Cool. So a little more complicated, but again, we're just using that function to make the code run better. It's telling the computer, I want you to do all these things, but I'm not going to type them all out for you. I'm just going to say check square for corn, and you know what that means because I defined the function. All right, next one, level 5. All right, now there are multiple pumpkins in each patch. Look at the functions below to figure out how to use each one. All right, so here's my two functions. I've got a get all pumpkins, and I've got, let me move this code out, so that wasn't right. I've got a get all pumpkins, and I've got a check square for corn. So I think what I'm going to want to do is something similar to the last few pages. I'm going to use a conditional to repeat until there's pumpkins. I'm going to do my usual in there. I'm going to say check for corn, and then move forward. So this should get me to that first pumpkin. Got the corn. And I'm at the first pumpkin. What can we do to make sure we get every single pumpkin right there? Well, I've got this new function called get all pumpkins, right? So I don't need to write out a bunch of code like pick pumpkin, pick pumpkin, pick pumpkin 5 times, right? So I've taught the computer that when I say get all pumpkins, I want you to look, are there pumpkins? And if there is, pick them. So let's go ahead and add that. And now she should go all the way across and get however many pumpkins are in that spot. Yeah, sweet. So what I would have to do after this is get her to turn around again, turn left, go forward, and then just repeat this code, because this is what I did to get all those crops and to get the pumpkin. I'm not going to rewrite all of that just for the sake of time, but this is the good base code for this level. Let's move on to 6. All right, try your functions out on a longer path. Okay, seems like we're going to kind of be sticking with this theme of treating the puzzle one leg at a time. So we're going to want our function to get us to this pumpkin. Then we're going to need to reset and go to this spot. We're going to use the same function, get us to this pumpkin, reset, go to this spot, use the same function to get us to this pumpkin. So I will help you guys get to this pumpkin, this first one, and then maybe reposition yourselves here, and I'll leave the rest to you. So gonna grab our handy conditional. So we're trying to get the pumpkins, right? So it's easy to say look for the pumpkins until there are pumpkins. We want her to check for corn. We need the corn. And then if there's corn, pick it. What do we want her to do otherwise? We want her to move forward. So she's either picking corn or moving forward. until she gets to a pumpkin. Oops. There we go. And this should get her, as we've seen on previous levels, to this pumpkin right here. We know she won't grab that unless I add my get all pumpkins function. So let's run that, make sure it works before we reposition ourselves for the next stretch. All right, perfect. We got all the pumpkins and all the crops in this first row. I'm going to help you guys get her positioned to get the rest of the crops in this row, and then I'll leave the rest to you. So, looks like we want her to turn. She's not facing the right way. Looks like it's going to be a left turn. Let's check. Okay, great. And then we're going to want her to move 1 step, 2 steps. So actions, move forward, move forward. Cool, that should get her right there. She'll be facing forward still though, so we need her to turn 1 more time. Let's say turn left and give it a shot. There she goes. And now she's facing the right way. Awesome. So, you're all set then to carry this forward, get to this pumpkin, then you'll just position her again to get to this last pumpkin. It should be good. All right, I'm going to do one last level in this video, and the rest will be in a second video. So here's page 7. All right, did you notice there is a lot of repeated code in that last puzzle? We can save space by calling that code pick a long path and using a new function to call the other functions. All right, so now we're kind of doing like Inception. Basically, it's saying like, hey, in level 6, if you were looking at the completed code, you would see I did the same thing like over and over again. Like repeat until there's pumpkins, get the pumpkins, move. Repeat until there's pumpkins, get the pumpkins, move. Isn't there an easier way to do that? Couldn't we teach the computer like that those are the steps I want it to take using one line? And there is. So let's do that. So what we did here was build a function or teach the computer a function called pick along the path. All right. And what pick along path is saying is repeat until there are pumpkins, check for corn, move forward, and then get pumpkins. So it's literally what we've been doing this whole time to have her get to the pumpkins. Okay. It's using these other 2 functions still within this function. The whole goal of this is like to save you time and to save you space in your code so you don't have to repeat yourself. It's like I said with the like put away your Chromebook thing. I don't say like get out of your chair, repeat stepping forward until you're at the Chromebook cart, put Chromebook away, turn left, walk forward, repeat until back at your seat. No, I just say put away the Chromebook and then sit down. So let's see what it would do if we just said pick a long path. We would expect it to do all of this. We'd expect it to check every square for corn and then move forward and then get any pumpkins. And what this should do is get us to this pumpkin right here and pick everything. And that's exactly what it did. So now all I need to do is like reposition her, have her turn and move forward, and do pick a long path again. So hopefully this helps. Let me know if you need anything else with these first 7. I'll post another video with the remaining 7. And yeah, let me know if you need any other levels.